Hello and welcome to today's video discussion on the top 5 reasons to move to Windows 8. My name is Karen Guglielmo with TechTarget, and I'm joined today by Zeus Kerravala, founder and principal analyst with ZK Research. Welcome, Zeus.
Thanks, Karen. It's great to be here again.
Today's event is being brought to you by Dell and Intel. So let's get started. So experts are suggesting that there's a number of benefits that will come with Windows 8 when it's released in 2012. One of those obviously is cost. Can you talk a little bit about the expected cost benefits that SMBs will see if they move to Windows 8?
Sure. I think the primary cost benefit of Windows 8 is going to be allowing SMBs to take virtualization to the next level. I think if you look at the historical use cases of virtualization, it's been to consolidate servers, that is to say take 10 servers and make it look like 2. And obviously there's huge capital savings there for SMBs that choose to do that. Now, Windows 8 has a couple of new interesting features in them. One is live migration is finally here with Windows 8, and that allows SMBs to not only consolidate the number of virtual machines, number of physical servers down through virtual machines, but also be able to move those virtual machines as the business dictates. And so when you think about the implications for power and cooling, you could take a very high performance workload and then move it to a very low-performing server at night when nobody's using that application. And so all of a sudden your power and cooling costs go down, right? From a maintenance perspective, you're able to do maintenance on servers while they're running. Now, you take a virtual machine, you move it to another server, open up that server, be able to do whatever maintenance you have to do, and then move it back, so no more downtime for those applications. So the live migration capabilities is a big part of the cost savings. The second part is they have a feature called dynamic memory. And with dynamic memory, what SMBs can do is they can actually pool the memory together and then allocate the memory to each virtual machine as needed. So no longer do you have to completely overbuy the amount of memory you have to make sure that each VM has enough. You're actually able to carve it out on an as-needed basis. So companies can really get, I think, a handle on the amount of memory they have to buy.
So another expected benefit is server management. Do you think SMBs will have more control over managing multiple servers simultaneously with Windows 8?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, the server management capabilities in Windows 8 Server are tremendous. First of all, you're right, they can manage multiple servers through a single pane of glass now, and that's a big improvement of what you had before. So instead of having discrete management tools for each server and doing what I kind of think of as almost swivel chair management, where you have to look between different windows, you can actually have just a single pane of glass and be able to see all your servers, physical and virtual, in the same pane of glass. Now, part of the benefit they bring is task management delegation through that single pane of glass. So now when you want to perform simple tasks, upgrade an operating system, applying patches, things like that, you simply right-click on that server, it brings up a menu, and then you're able to manage those things through that interface, as well as be able to manage them through Active Directory. So it integrates very nicely into the rest of the Microsoft ecosystem. So from an overall management perspective, the SMB can think of their server farm as a complete system and not a number of individual elements. And that makes managing things much, much simpler.
So now let's talk a little bit about storage performance improvements with Windows 8. Can you talk a little bit about these improvements?
Yeah, Windows 8 has some great storage efficiency tools as well. One of the big advantages of Windows 8 is they have a feature called storage pooling. So you can take really any kind of storage, be it SATA drives or SAS drives, create a virtualized storage pool, if you want to think of it that way. So underneath it might be a set of discrete storage devices, but to the server it looks like one logical storage unit. So now when you create your virtual machines and you want to allocate a piece of storage to it, you can grab it out of that pool. So a lot of the efficiencies or inefficiencies for managing storage before, where people would only fill up maybe 25–30% of a hard drive, goes away. You can buy the right amount of storage and then be able to parse it out as needed. Second, there's a feature in Windows 8 called deduplication. So in many cases, when you think about the types of files people store and what they do, they often write the same information multiple times to multiple files, different versions of files and things. Windows 8 actually will deduplicate the data before it writes to disk. So if you have a company that has a lot of unstructured data, you could possibly take the amount of storage down from many, many gigs to just a couple. And so now organizations not only don't have to buy as much because they're pooling it, but they don't have to buy as much because it's being deduplicated as well.
And what about storage migration? I know that Windows 8 allows for live storage migration. Can you talk a little bit about this benefit for SMBs?
Yeah, storage migration, particularly live migration, is very important to the future of virtualization. Typically, one of the things that's held back the use of live server migration is the inability to migrate storage. So what you don't want to do as an administrator of IT is move a virtual machine and then leave the storage where it is, because if you move it to a different location or even a different rack, all of a sudden the latency of accessing that storage could go through the roof. So ideally with storage migration, what you can do is you can coordinate the movement to the virtual machine with the live movement of the storage. So now when you move your virtual machine, you move the storage along with it, and then the integrity of that server remains in place. So I think live storage migration is an extremely important part of taking server virtualization to the next level, and that's a great add for Windows 8.
There are a number of suggested benefits also for DR and BC in Windows 8. Based on your knowledge, can you comment on what those will be?
Yeah, backup and recovery has been very challenging for SMBs over the years. In fact, I like to think that most companies I talk to are great at backing things up, but not so great at recovering. Windows 8 has a feature called Hyper-V Replica in it, and what that allows the network manager, the IT administrator to do is to be able to create live replicas of those virtual machines and then be able to administrate them wherever they want. So you can actually take a live running virtual machine and through this replica feature be able to copy it in real time to another hard drive, even to USB flash drive if you want, so to an external drive, and then be able to store that for backup and recovery purposes. So this gives the IT administrator a lot of flexibility in how they want to be able to do backup and recovery, but ideally this protects the organization because you can take copies of these virtual machines, move them to a live drive, but more importantly be able to move them to some sort of backup media that isn't slow like tape. You can actually do, like I said, USB flash drives, backup optical drives, CD-ROMs, DVDs, things like that. So the BCDR capabilities in Windows 8 I think are very ideally suited for SMBs.
And finally, can you offer some advice to our SMB audience on suggestions for hardware considerations to ensure a smooth transition to Windows 8?
Yeah, the hardware considerations I think are interesting to think about because you really need to think about buying a server that was optimized for virtualization. I think a lot of the times you see SMBs run virtual machines on older servers, and they weren't really designed for having multiple workloads running on it and the movement of workloads. So you want to, first of all, make sure that the server has been optimized for virtualization. Make sure that it has a wide range of processor capabilities, that it has a wide range of memory to be able to start very small but then ramp up as big as you want. And then also from a storage capability, have enough storage on it to be able to create those backup of virtual machines that you need. And then and lastly, have the resiliency built into the servers to be able to use for something that's really meant for continuous operations. So I think server design today is significantly different than it was a few years ago. So as organizations go through that process of evaluating, just make sure it's got the right processor, memory, and storage capabilities to be able to be optimized for virtualization.
And that concludes today's video discussion on the top 5 reasons to move to Windows 8. Thank you again to Zeus Kerravala for joining us today.
Thanks, Karen. It's a great topic.
And to Dell and Intel for sponsoring this event. Have a great day.